This brief video will review how you add full text articles to references within Sciwheel. Before we dive in, I do like to point out, you can notice when you have a full text available for a reference, so if you have the PDF available, by looking on the right-hand side here, you'll notice that it will say Open PDF when you do have a PDF available. You can also see buttons for full text and institutional access. Those appear if UNC does have access to that article, but for whatever reason, Sciwheel was unable to bring down that PDF. In this case, you would grab the PDF by opening up this institutional access button and then downloading the PDF and then importing it. We'll go over this in a moment, and we'll also describe how you enable this institutional access on your Sciwheel account. So the first way to add full text of references within Sciwheel is actually in the database that you're using. So we're going to go to PubMed to show an example of this. And we can see we have an individual reference here that we want to put into our Sciwheel account. So we're going to click our Sciwheel browser extension button here, and then we'll just add this to our project. Let's click View in our library. We notice this reference is now added to our Sciwheel account. Furthermore, we can see that PubMed is actually Sciwheel is actually trying to bring this PDF down from PubMed. It may take it a second, but typically if you see that it's trying to do that, it will successfully bring it down. If it doesn't, you again can use the other version that's just manually grabbing that PDF. This oftentimes I find works the best when you're on campus, and also when you see this full text free option. So if it is freely available within PubMed, a lot of the time it will just automatically bring it down for you. The next way to grab PDFs is a very similar fashion within a database. So we'll go back into PubMed here. We have our reference that we want to grab. We're again going to click our browser extension, but this time notice we do see that it says include PDF. So in this case, we do want to check this button to make sure that this reference includes the PDF into our Sciwheel account. We again will want to, if you want to change this to add it to a different project, you can, and we'll click Add. And now view our library. You can see that we now have this reference with the subsequent PDF available as well. So those are two ways that you can add PDFs into your Sciwheel account. I do like to point out this way works the best, both when you're on campus as well as when you're only pulling down individual articles. There are oftentimes when you're pulling down bulk articles, sometimes it will attach articles automatically, but sometimes you'll also, just depending on the articles, will have to go in and then attach them. Within Sciwheel, there's a couple other ways you can attach PDFs to references. First way you can add PDFs and citations is actually going into this Import References, and then you'll click PDFs. And then wherever you want to import the PDF from, so we'll just do my computer for now. And then click into the PDF and open. And we notice that Sciwheel is now importing the reference, and it was actually successfully imported here. So we can notice actually that not only did it import that reference, but it imported, for that PDF, it also imported all the information for the reference as well. So this does work pretty well as well. Sometimes it will not grab the full information for this reference. So in that case, you would have to edit the reference. To edit a reference, you would go to the three ellipses here and press Edit. And then you can choose to edit the metadata individually. So this is just the information that has all the information for the citation. So you can edit that information. You can also just update with a DOI number or another identifiable number. So if you have the DOI number, you can just paste that in there, find the article, and then update your reference. The last way I'll show how to import a reference is actually within the individual citation. So if you wanted to import a reference into this citation, for example, and you had it saved on your computer, you would go into that citation and then click Upload PDF, and then again, find it in your computer. I'll just attach a random one for now, click Open. And then now we can see it's added up the PDF successfully. The last thing I do want to show before we talk about institutional access is adding notes and such to PDFs. So to do that, once you have your PDF within your Sciwheel account, you can click Open PDF on the citation that you want to read. And then from here, you can highlight the PDF as you're reading by highlighting the text that you want to notate on, and then clicking your Sciwheel button. You can add an optional note, or you can just choose to highlight the text and change the color of the text, and then press Save. You can see on the side here now it has started to keep track of our notes and our highlights. So if we wanted to add another note, we could change even the font or the color, and then we would save it, and you can see it's adding our notes here. If you aren't a fan of these highlights and want them turned off, just say highlight off. Similar with notes, if you don't want the note, you just want the highlight. So that is a great way to annotate PDFs within Sciwheel. You'll notice as well that once you start adding notes to your PDF, they will also appear in this notes section as well within your citation. So we can see that the notes that we had just added were added to this general citation as well. Furthermore, they were also added to our private project that the citation is housed within. The last thing I'll show within this video is how to enable institutional access so Sciwheel knows that you are part of UNC. So again, this basically allows you to see whether you have institutional access, which is available right here. To enable that, we're actually going to go to our Sciwheel guide within the Health Sciences Library website. So to get that guide, we're going to go onto the main page of the Health Sciences Library website, and then Research and Teaching, Citing and Writing Tools. And then we're going to click our Sciwheel guide. Next, we want to go to this tab, Full Text VI Proxy Server. And this will list all of our steps. So if you do have any questions or want to look back and when you're enabling this yourself, if you don't have your Sciwheel account up right now, feel free to go to this guide at any time. So we're actually going to grab this proxy URL, and then we're going to go back into our Sciwheel account. From here, we're going to navigate to our user profile, and we're going to go down to Account. From there, we want to go to Proxy Settings. And you can see I've already enabled my URL, but from there, you're going to paste the URL that we just copied into the institutional proxy URL and the proxy URL. We'll then click Update to keep those proxy URL settings saved. From there, you will now be able to access these references using the institutional access through UNC, and you'll be able to see if individual references do have institutional access available. In this short video, we described how to obtain PDFs and add them to your Sciwheel account. We also reviewed briefly about PDFs and annotating within the PDF, and we talked about the institutional access add-on that you can enable.